Track 2.24.
Trevor, let me start by asking you what gave you the idea for the Clockwork Radio?
Well, I was sitting where I am now, looking at that television over there, and I was actually watching a program about the spread of AIDS in Africa, and they said the only way they could stop this dreadful disease cutting its way through Africa was with the power of information and education. But there was a problem. Most of Africa doesn't have electricity. The only form of electricity available to them was in the form of batteries, which were horrendously expensive. And so I said to myself, hang on. Now, this is where dreams play an important part in everybody's life. The beautiful thing about a dream is you can do anything you like in your dreams, right? Now, why I am saying this to you is because I could see myself listening to some raunchy number by Dame Nellie Melba on my wind-up gramophone. And then I am thinking to myself, blimey, if you can get all that noise by dragging a rusty nail around a piece of old Bakelite using a spring, surely there's enough power in that spring to drive a small dynamo, which in turn will drive my radio. And so I was stirred enough to get off my backside and go to my shed and actually find enough parts to actually start doing those first primitive experiments.
And, how long did it take you to design a prototype from the idea?
Well, from the concept to the having the first inner box model out there, it would have taken me 2 to 3 months, I guess. So yes, it took about 2 or 3 months.
So you got the prototype. How easy was it from that point on? How easy was it to find a backer and set up production?
Well, first things first. I did know that there are these thieves about that will steal your idea. So I found a lady called Jackie Needle, a patent attorney, and I said to her, Jackie, I want to write up a patent. Can you help me? So we did a search and couldn't find any clockwork radios of the kind that I had done. And she filed for a patent for me. And therefore, then I had a starting date, as it were. Now I knew that nobody pays you for a good idea, but they could pay you for that piece of paper. So then I went round every British company I could think of with a confidentiality agreement, and they all talked down to me. Oh yes, I think that we are working on something like this, aren't we, Johnny? You know, all that old sausage. It was so humiliating. And in the end, quite frankly, after about 3 or 4 years of this, I thought, I've had enough of this. Why do I need this? I was 56 or something when this happened, so I was given a chance through the BBC World Service to meet up with the guys from the BBC Tomorrow's World programme. And they said, come on, we'll do the story.
So the whole thing got off the ground. How long was it then before the production of them started?
Well, the important thing was funding. The Tomorrow's World programme was seen by a fellow in South Africa, a chap from a company called Liberty Life. He came to my house here and we sat out there. And he said, look, we can help you make this happen, provided we can share in its success. I said, of course. And so we formed a company called Baygen, Bayliss Generators. And he wrote a cheque for £750,000 whilst I was in this room.
And how many radios are produced each month?
Well, I'm sure they might tell me differently, but I'm sure they must be doing 200,000 a month.
And finally, what advice would you give to someone who had a good idea?
Don't go down the pub and tell everybody about it. That's the first thing, right? Get onto the patent office. Get their literature and read all about it, right? Nobody pays you for a good idea, but they might pay you for a piece of paper which says you own that idea. But remember, somebody might already own that idea, so you must do a search first. There's no excuse afterwards.